Hi YouTubers, it's George working on the FRG-7. I thought I'd go over a few things to do with it and to do with getting a radio. And you can normally tell how well the radio has been looked after by any repairs and outside signs like mismatch of screws and things like that. And on this particular radio, my first thing I spotted was the mains cable. And the mains cable is a moulded plug, and that's thick enough for an electric fire. It wouldn't have had that mains cable on it. And the other giveaway is how well it's been looked after is the fuse. It's actually got fitted with a 13-amp fuse. Now something like this probably only draws an amp at the most, so a 3-amp fuse in the plug would be safer. And to say this is the wrong cable, so that's my first thing I noticed. Another notification that I spotted on it was the actual record socket that was there. That was connected to the 12 volt for some reason, and it said it had a 2 meter converter, VHF down to 28 meg converter, and it had a digital display, and the digital display was wired by a couple of bits of wire with a bit of tape round it like that. I've put these round because I've took the display out, but that's how it was. The battery compartment, the battery holder's missing, so that's another thing. And then on the back there's two SO239s, should only be one, and this one you can see it's been put in at a silly angle for some reason. You know, just use 2 screws and they don't match the rest of the screws, so that's another giveaway. And you can see this cable is so thick. So that's the other thing. Yeah, so there's a digital display in it, which is fine, that may be how they was, and the 2 meter converter. And then underneath, I'll just tell you, underneath here there was a relay fitted and connected to the aerial connections here, these two, and the wires went all the way around to the record socket, which I've now removed. So I removed that, and you can see there's been a lot of soldering going on this switch here, which selects AM, low sideband and CW there. Also the light on switch has got an extra wire fitted there, and it looks like the switch is a bit loose. And also here it's got a modern jack socket fitted there, and I don't know, that's a 1/4 inch I think, and you can see it. I don't think that's original, I think that's been added. And yeah, one thing or another. Yes, and then on the input here, so it goes through the socket for the aerial to these terminals here for long wires as well, and they come down here, and there's a selector here which is an attenuator for distance, normal and local, and it switches in a bank of resistors into the aerial circuit to reduce the signal. And some of these have been burnt out in the past, and there is still a burnt out resistor there, so this is indicating that somebody's actually put a voltage into the aerial socket by mistake, or This relay that was here, it's supposed to switch it from transmit to receive, and there would have been a separate transmitter. So the relay's come out, took that and got rid of that, and you can see that there's a still, I don't know if you can see down there, there's a black resistor, it's burnt. So somebody's put RF through the aerial system, and it's burnt out the attenuation resistors here, and that's not something you want to do. Now a little bit of fault finding now. Now switching it on, power on, a little bit noisy volume control, and then the lights, and the lights all work, so that's a good sign. So the first thing I did after that was check the voltage on the power unit, power supply, which is here, and the voltages on the different test points are 14 volt, 10 volt and 9 volt, and that's okay. Now on the power board you've got filters because you've got part of the IF, so what I did was I put a signal into that test point there, just length of wire, so it's buzzing. So to me this board is working because the front end is all over here, and this is like the IF section, so by just connecting a bit of wire and getting a bit of mains noise into it, you can hear it. So that to me is saying that's alright and the audio's okay. Very simple test. The other thing I did was I turned this knob to right from AM to lower and upper sideband, and then I turned the volume up quite high and turned some of these knobs. It's whistling, and the fine tune works. So I'm guessing that's the BFO working. Lower sideband, right, it's upper sideband. So that does something. Main tuning and the fine tuning on the upper and lower sideband positions. On the AM, because the BFO probably wouldn't be working. Oh yeah, there's some noise there, and this alters it as well, so something's happening. And the narrow and low switch does something, it changes the audio quality. Okay, so that's some basic tests, so we know the audio is working. These do nothing. That's a dodgy switch. Right, so that's a good start. Turn that off. Now, the pre-selector here on the left, this one, you set it to which band you're on. There, start again. This band switch here switches in a range of coils on the front end, and also the pre-selector. And for the 4 bands, the input coils are that one, that one, that one and that one. Now I'll get the circuit diagram. I don't know whether this will show up, but there's a coil, coil, coil and coil. This is the switch with the resistors on, the attenuators, which are, a lot of these are burnt out. Now if RF has actually been shoved in it by mistake, it's going to come in here, it's going to go through these switches, it's going to disintegrate them and burn these resistors out, and then it's going to go to these coils, and there's these four here. Now the issue could be that the amount of power put into it is actually destroyed these little transformers, input transformers. It could have burnt the wires out inside of these, depending on how much RF's gone into it. So it goes through the attenuator switch, and then it goes into here, and then it will go into the front end, which I believe is this one. And that has a long coil there, which is this long thin one here. I've checked that, and that reads okay on the meter, but what I don't know is these have got cores in them. If you put too much power into a coil with a core, you can actually damage the ferrite core. So I don't know whether this area here is damaged. So what I'm thinking of doing is the pre-selector circuit here feeds into the first transistor, as far as I know, or first FET. Now to test if this is working, what I could do is plug an aerial in there, find the output from all these coils, and feed it into my Malonhite receiver. Not power this radio up, so all this is off, and see when I use the pre-selector, will it actually increase and decrease the signals. I hope that makes sense. It probably doesn't. So these must all come into this switch network here and come back out again. So I'm assuming I've got to find that capacitor and disconnect it, and then connect that connection there to my Malonhite. Or it looks like I could put it across that capacitor, doesn't it? Yeah, so we'll try and do that. Okay, so let me just turn this down. So what I've got at the moment, I've got a rough wire aerial. Sorry, let's turn that off a minute. What I've got is a FRG sitting up like this. I've got the output of the pre-selector unit, which is all this coil here and the local attenuator here for local distance and off here. And I've took the output, which is there, that connection there, which goes to the FET. So this is the front end. So this is using this pre-selector on this Malonhite. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tune it. Let's get some. So we've got weak signal there. Right. I'll put it on the right band. So this is, I'm on the 20 meter band, which is 14 megs. So I'm on that one there. Can you see it? And I'm going to adjust that to see if I can get the signal up. Now the signal's quite low. Right, I'm turning it now. See what that does. Can't hear him now. What end of the band am I on? On 11. So let's go up. Stop talking, isn't he? Let's come to.
Alpha Hotel Gerald from Echo Alpha 4, Echo Uniform India. That's right, my name is
I think I need to turn the AGC off to do a proper test. Right. So I'll turn the pre-selector. It's not doing anything much that end. Oh yeah, back there. And I can't really see the display. I wonder if I dare power it up. I can see the display. Right. Yeah. I'm about 14.2 megs. It should be there, shouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's very conclusive. Yeah. Yeah, it does make a bit of difference. Yeah, I'm not sure now. Right, well, I didn't work very well with Malin height, so I wasn't sure. So what I've got my nano VNA, and it's putting the signal through this arrangement here. And if I operate the attenuator switch, local it drops it to -50. Normal is there, and DX is there. So yeah, that seems a bit odd as well. It's, you think at normal there wouldn't be. Yeah, at the distance one is -60 dB going through DX. You think DX would be no attenuation. Normal would be a bit of attenuation. I think there's something wrong with that switch. DX position would be no attenuation. I can't get my head around this at the moment. Right, let me experiment. Now I've had to take the front off to get at this switch. Find out what's going on with these resistors that are burnt out. Oh, it's not easy. Okay, I don't know whether you can see it. There's 10 ohm, well, there's just a burnt out there, that one there, and these two, you can see they've been replaced very badly. So I've got to change those. I'll take them out of circuit and check them. That was an absolute nightmare, changing those resistors. I want to strip the case right down like this, take all the front off just to get the switch out and solder these new resistors in. And also it was soldered wrong. The resistor was in the wrong place, so I put it in the right place based on the circuit diagram. To be honest, I'm a bit out of my depth when it comes to this radio. I fixed several things on it. I've changed some transistors, I've changed the front end transistor, I've changed front end one in the in the IF down here, and I've fixed the record socket, put it back to how it should be. I've replaced the resistors in the DX local attenuator switch, and I've fixed the digital display, which was absolutely a blooming nightmare, because the circuit board, whenever you try and do any solder on it, the track lifts. It's just a terrible quality board for the display, and so that's fixed. Bit of noise on it now, but it still don't receive a signal, and I got this light going on and off which locks on certain channels but not others, so I'm getting somewhere with it, but I don't fully understand the circuit of it, to be fair. And I'll unplug it again, but I've noticed a few extra things, and you might be able to see the IF transformers here and here and here and here have all got black lines on it where somebody's marked them where the adjustments are, and also on the control pots have got black lines on it where people have been twiddling. And I notice on these cores are nearly all the way out. So whether, oh, and this one here's got a black line on it as well to mark it. So somebody's either been calibrating it or messed about with it. And yeah, I'm working my way through all the transistors and checking the voltages, but I've replaced that one, that one, that one, the main IC, and different things on the board, and I'm just getting nowhere, absolutely nowhere with it. So I'm a bit baffled and a bit disappointed. I didn't pay a lot for it. It's just flummoxing me at the moment. I really don't know what to do next. Is it because it's all out of alignment? I don't know. Really not sure.